We're going to pick up today on dealing with discouragement, and we all face it at one time or another in life. You have to face discouragement. We all do, so you need to be weaponized and ready to deal with it if you're going to live in this life. You can get up at 5 a.m. and start praying and pray till 10 o'clock at night, and you still have to deal with discouragement. You can double or triple your tithes, give double to the missionaries. You can be the first one to church and the last person to leave, but you're still going to have to face discouragement. That's just part of life. Discouragement is a part of life, and we have to learn to deal with it. The devil will use our failures, our mistakes, our past sins to stop us from doing God's will in our life. He tries to use your past to beat you up. Now, we might want to remind him of his future when he does that and say, listen, devil, you're not going to bother me because your future isn't so bright. You want me to tell you what happens to you at the end of your time? And so, we can't let the past keep us from having a future. You cannot change what happened yesterday. You can't go back and change something that happened 20 years ago. But you have the ability today to change your life. You have the ability today to move forward for your tomorrow. We can't fix the past. Now, there are people that go and seek help, and that's good, and they try to clear up their past and deal with their past problems, but you cannot unring a bell that's already been rung. When someone says, I hate your guts and wish you was dead, then they come back 3 minutes later and say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I really don't feel that way. Well, you must feel some way that way because it came out. The abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. And so we have to be careful and choose our words and what we say, and we need to be equipped to deal with discouragement. Everyone faces it. The devil will sit on your shoulder, and he'll try to say, oh, you've made mistakes, and look what you did here, and look what you've done there, because he wants you to think about negative things. You might as well throw in the towel and quit. I think we've all felt that way one time or another. There's been times that I felt like, oh man, I just need to run the white flag up and quit. You get so tired of getting beat up and pushed around and all this, but you cannot do that. You have to stand up to the devil. You have to stand up to problems. You should know that when you get these kind of thoughts about quitting, about your past, it's not God. God doesn't bring your past up nowhere. He forgives you your sins, and your past is to be remembered no more. So when you're getting thoughts of negative things from your past, when you're dealing with things that's already been done and maybe 30 years ago or whatever, that's the devil. God doesn't do that. He wants you to succeed. He wants you to be able to do good. I'll tell you a story about me. I know me. I don't know about you, and I'll try to be really quick. I had a man at our church that went there for about 2 years. He had 2 churches. He pastored one for 4 weeks, the other one for 2 weeks when he was a young man. And he kind of dabbled in the ministry after that, and that's all he did. And he came to our church. He played the bass guitar. He'd been there 2 years. And on a Sunday morning, I was praying for the people around the altar. We had people coming down needing prayer. He walks up, calls my wife over, puts his arm around both of us, kisses me on my cheek, and says, I don't know what you've heard about me, but it's not true, and I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. And then he walked away. I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. And so, till next Sunday, and then I found out he started his own church, and that more than half my congregation left. And I was really discouraged when I didn't know that this was going to happen, and I didn't know that it was a Judas kiss. So I had to deal with that, and I prayed and prayed and prayed. Long story short, they put money down and bought a lot on the next corner right down from our church. And we had an annex on the other corner, so his church was going to be 50 feet from my annex. And they never built the church. They folded in 6 months. Half the people came back, and everything went on. But one day, about 2 years later, I was at the gas station pumping gas. He pulls up and gets out with a cane and a collar around his neck, and he lost a lot of weight. He looked horrible. And I thought, man, oh man, geez Louise, I didn't hardly recognize him. And then the Lord told me, go over there and pray for him. I'm like, is that you, Lord? And he said, go over there and pray for him and tell him you love him. So I walked over there, put my arm around him. When I did, he looked up at me and he dropped his head. And I said, it's good to see you, brother. I said, I'm sorry that you're sick and not doing good. And then he told me the illness that was going through him, and his wife was sick and she was in bed, couldn't get out. He lost his home. He had to file bankruptcy. He lost his car. I said, I'm so sorry. So I prayed with him. I kissed him on the cheek, but it was a kiss of love. And I told him, I love you and I'll be praying for you. And I did. You have to be the bigger person. I'm not trying to put a feather in my hat. I'm just trying to tell you, you have to be the bigger person. You have to deal with discouragement. And he really discouraged me with what he did. But God is in control. And I forgave him and I prayed for him. Hope this helps you a little bit. My 5 minutes is up. Way past time. It's almost 6 minutes. I'm sorry. You have a great day and I'll talk to you again.